Socrates was an ancient Greek philosopher and also a fucking legend. The art of Western philosophy originated in ancient Greece in the 6th century BC with the pre-Socratics. So before we even start, Socrates was so important and pivotal in philosophy that any philosopher before him was classified as pre-Socratic. Anyways, these inferiors attempted to provide rational explanations of the cosmos as a whole, more descriptively, the beginning and the substance of the universe. But the inquiries of these early philosophers explored the workings of the natural world and human society, ethics, and religion. These bums sought explanations based on natural law rather than the actions of God, so they were essentially atheists before the existence of Hot Topic and death metal. Very few fragments of the works of the pre-Socratic philosophers have survived. Most of the writings of the pre-Socratics have been lost, but the knowledge we have of them derives from the accounts of later writers such as Plato and Aristotle. The most influential philosophers of this time period were Xenophanes, Heraclitus, and Pythagoras. Xenophanes was known for his critique of anthropomorphism, meaning the attribution of human-like characteristics to gods. Heraclitus, who was notoriously difficult to understand, was known for his maxim on impermanence, believing in the phrase, everything that lives must die. If he had social media today, he would certainly put memento mori in his bio. Like a fucking weirdo. Do not do that. And finally, arguably the most influential of the pre-Socratics was Pythagoras. Pythagoras created a cult-like following that believed in the idea that the universe was made up of numbers on some matrix-type shit. Even after death, Pythagoras lives on in geometry through the Pythagorean theorem, which was supposedly discovered because Pythagoras studied stone-squared tiles when he was bored and pictured right triangles within the tiling, recognizing that the area of the squares on the side lengths were equal to the square on the hypotenuse. Okay, hold on. Pythagoras was a fucking legend too. Why are you doing that shit? He casually discovered a key equation of life that still holds true today. Shout out GOAT. Anyways, here comes along baby Socrates. Born in 470 or 469 BC to Sophronichus the stoneworker and Phaenarete the midwife, Socrates was an Athenian citizen. His education followed the laws and customs of Athens as he learned basic skills of reading, writing, and received extra lessons in various other fields such as gymnastics, poetry, and music. This guy could dead-ass do it all. Socrates married twice, once to Xanthippe, whom he had 3 sons with, and then to the daughter of a respected Athenian political leader. Also, Socrates married Xanthippe when he was 50, so he pumped out 3 kids post-5-0 fuck of a vasectomy. During his lifetime, Socrates attracted great interest from the Athenian youth and public. He was notoriously ugly, with a flat upturned nose, bulging eyes, and a large belly. Socrates was indifferent to material pleasures, including his own appearance and personal comfort. He neglected personal hygiene, bathed rarely, walked barefoot, and owned only one ragged coat. He moderated his eating, drinking, and sex, but did not practice full abstention. That dirty dog. However, Socrates was attracted to youth, as was common and accepted in ancient Greece, yet he resisted his passion for young men because, as Plato describes, he was more interested in educating their souls. So unlike modern Minecraft YouTubers, Socrates did not seek sex from his disciples, as was often the case between older and younger men in Athens. Many of these characteristics come from Plato, Socrates' most passionate disciple in his works. Now, Socrates would essentially spread his thoughts by doing on-the-street interviews, no lie, no bullshit. Socrates would approach passersby and make them question their entire reality. As he said, the unexamined life is not worth living. Jesus Christ, this guy was just going up to people with a big fucking middle finger. Oh, you've never thought about why you exist? Then why do you exist, you fucking loser? But even today, most of us have experienced Socrates' teachings in our everyday lives. His most fundamental teaching being the Socratic method. Socrates would initiate a discussion about a topic with an expert on the subject, typically in the company of some young men or boys. And by speaking, he would prove the expert's beliefs and arguments to be contradictory. Socrates would literally question everything. 9 times out of 10, he would convince you, or at the very least have you questioning the possibility that up is down and down is up. With each round of question and answer, Socrates and his victim hoped to approach the truth. As a result, they would continue to reveal their ignorance. This would implore any scholar or expert to further their knowledge of their desire, which is what Socrates intended. And Socrates would apply this method to himself as well, acknowledging his ignorance along with his followers and peers. Another one of Socrates' key characteristics and philosophies was his understanding of his lack of knowledge. However, in some of Plato's writings, Socrates appears to credit himself with some knowledge, and can even seem strongly opinionated for a man who professes his own ignorance. Some interpret this as a grandmaster fake-out for him to show off his intellect, while some attribute the inconsistency to possible varying definitions of knowledge for the man himself. Nonetheless, Socrates was attributed with the phrase, "I know that I know nothing." Holy fuck, that shit is hard as hell. Whether Socrates genuinely thought he lacked knowledge or merely faked his belief in his own ignorance remains a matter of debate. In my opinion, he was simply trying to express that he can always have more knowledge, which relates to the Socratic method of questioning an expert's knowledge in the first place. And while Socrates gained many disciples during his years, the most notable were Plato and Xenophon. Xenophon, however, was somewhat of a fraud. He could not fully conceptualize or articulate what Socrates would teach, yet he admired Socrates for his intelligence. Plato was a stronger pupil of Socrates who outlived him by 5 decades. Yet how trustworthy Plato is in representing the attributes of Socrates is a matter of debate as well. A driver of this doubt is the inconsistency of the character of Socrates that he presents. One common explanation of this inconsistency is that Plato tried to represent the historical Socrates, while later in his writings tried to insert his own views into Socrates' words. Under this understanding, there is a distinction between the Socratic Socrates of Plato's earlier works and the Platonic Socrates of Plato's later writings. Plato would later go on to teach Aristotle, who was an insane man who contributed major discoveries to a wide range of studies. But even with the same teacher, Xenophon and Plato's accounts differ in their presentations of Socrates as a person. Xenophon's Socrates was duller, less humorous, and less ironic. Fuck. Xenophon's Socrates also lacked the philosophical features of Plato's Socrates. I think that Plato's description of Socrates is more reliable, as Xenophon was stated to not even understand half of what Socrates had said, but as I said, it is still up to debate. Even with all of Socrates' bright young pupils, he could not beat the allegations. In 399 BC, Socrates was accused for corrupting the youth of Athens and for, quote, worshipping false gods. At the trial, Socrates defended himself unsuccessfully. He was found guilty by a majority vote cast by a jury of hundreds of Athenian citizens, and he proposed his own penalty. He thought that he should be given free food and housing by the state for the services he rendered to the city, or alternatively, he would be fined 1 mina of silver, which was supposedly all he had. The jurors declined both of his offers and ordered him the death penalty. Time passed, and eventually Socrates spent his last day in prison. His friends and pupils came up to him, visited him, and even offered him an opportunity to escape. But Socrates declined. He decided he would become a legend and die as a martyr for his ideas. And with his legend status secured, Socrates threw back his shot of hemlock, a form of poison, and died painfully and slowly. Socrates' impact was immense in philosophy even after his death. With few exceptions, almost all philosophical currents after Socrates trace their roots to him. Plato's Academy, Aristotle's Lyceum, the Cynics, and the Stoics. He died for his cause, and his martyrdom was successful in spreading his philosophy. So in short, Socrates was a fucking Chad. Hey, it's post recording me. I just wanted to thank everyone for the first video. That went pretty well. You guys, I doubled subscribers, man. That shit is crazy. And it's so strange because I'm just doing a school project, but it's so much more rewarding than that, and hell, even people can learn from it, and I think it's just so cool. And I wanted to thank everyone for, just being real, being homies. So yeah, let me know what you guys think of this. Like I said, I'm free to do whatever I want. Might do some music, gaming, whatever the freak I want to do. So thank you, and I will see you guys.